Pierce McKullen, private investigator, finds the kidnapped heroine Raven Blade being turned into a slave in a dungeon. This is for entertainment purposes only. This short story is only for people over the age of 18.
No one understands what it means to be a powerless private investigator working with superheroes. Here's a glimpse of the world of a private investigator that works for the main superhero team of the world but has no superpowers of my own. Let me start at the end before explaining what happened.
Don't tell me it happened again.
Ashley yelled at me, rightfully so, when I came back home and told her what had happened. Explaining what instigating the wreckage of a magical fortress and what followed, I realized that the domestic squabbles of a private investigator were far more complicated compared to the logistical nightmare of a kidnapped superpowered entity. My name is Pierce McKullen. I operate in the strange, overlapping Venn diagram of private investigation on the superhero payroll. While the capes and tights handle planetary threats, someone has to handle the investigations, the paperwork, and the missing persons reports. I was the first one to notice the gap in the ranks, a shapely silence where there should have been a sensual storm. Raven Blade had vanished. To understand the gravity of her absence, you have to understand Raven Blade. I know her real name, but she once asked me not to tell anyone, so I won't. I do respect her. She possesses a level of strength and speed that makes most other heroes look like they're moving in slow motion. As the name Raven Blade implies, she is gifted with the unique ability to transmute any object into a lethal sword with a single fluid swipe of her hand. And, for the record, and I know Ashley is reading this report, Raven Blade is breathtaking. We are talking about a fitness model's physique paired with a supermodel's facial symmetry, all wrapped in skin the color of rich milk chocolate. I'm simply stating an empirical fact and likely sleeping on the couch for the foreseeable future. My search started where all modern disappearances do, where I can sit on my ass while investigating the digital and soulless void known as the internet. Social media was a ghost town of current information, but a lot of disturbing fan fiction and AI-generated images that will haunt me for the rest of my life. I eventually got off my ass and combed through her known villain roster and then squeezed her most hated rogues for information. I can be very threatening when I want to be, even for a guy with no powers, but the same answer kept coming back. Nobody had seen her, and most were happy about this fact since it meant fewer scars and severed limbs. Then, a freelance mercenary I will not name, a man who flips between heroism and villainy depending on who is paying, dropped a hint. He mentioned a particular magic user with a pathological obsession with Raven Blade. The lead took me to a very wooden part of Virginia where I found on a hill a stone castle. Not a ruin or a historical landmark, but a fully functioning stone fortress, with indoor plumbing, high-voltage electricity, and surprisingly fast Wi-Fi. It was an architectural contradiction. While scouting the perimeter, I peered through a narrow barred basement window and saw her. She was naked, her head completely shrouded in a glowing yellow scarf, held aloft a handspan by heavy iron chains around her wrists and ankles. Now usually a face covering and a lack of clothing don't provide a positive ID, but Raven Blade has a silhouette that is impossible to mistake. You can't deny that, Ashley. Since I lacked the luxury of super strength, I couldn't exactly play the part of muscle man and kick down the front door. Right, Todd? I had to be surgical. I located the castle's primary water main and shattered it, sending a torrent of water cascading through the lower levels of the castle to create a diversion. In the ensuing chaos, I slipped into the building and down to the basement. Raven was mumbling incoherently beneath the glowing fabric of the scarf. I didn't waste time, I went straight to the locks, my picks working quickly against the cold iron. The moment the chains snapped open with her free but on her knees, and I unwrapped that yellow cloth, her eyes locked onto mine. There was no confusion, no gratitude, and no question of who I was. That would have been preferable.
Master, I am your slave. I am ready to obey,
she declared, kneeling before me, and this progressed into a bow as she craned her neck to look up at me. Her dark eyes weren't just looking at me, they were hungry, filled with an intensity that felt predatory and subservient all at once. If you're wondering when the oh shit moment of every investigation happened, it would have been right then. It was not the thank you for the rescue I had expected in my head. Just as I was processing this oh shit moment was when the resident magic user stormed in. Think tall, but had 3 too many pizzas the night before, and the face a mother would have to be blind to love. This guy, and someone can correct me on this, was shrieking a frantic monologue about imprinting and the tragedy of his lost love. Sure. I've always had a terrible memory for villain speeches. They tend to blend into one long narcissistic drone. I skipped the dialogue and used what I had to take down a guy whose hands started to glow. I gave a direct order to my slave. I told Raven Blade to take him down but emphasized that he should remain alive. She didn't hesitate for an eye blink. With a blur of motion that defied physics, she was upon the magic man. She was fast, ruthless, and terrifyingly efficient. In one movement, she placed her palm on his shirt, which ripped the expensive fabrics of his robes right off his body, transforming those tatters of silk into a shimmering, lethal saber. She followed my orders. He didn't die. You can hear the but coming, but the man was left in a state of physical and psychological trauma that would take sutures, learning how to use artificial hands, the understanding you don't need your nose to smell, and years of therapy to undo. It is truly amazing what the human body can survive when a superpowered woman is trying to keep him alive but also neutralize him. Currently, Raven Blade is back at superhero headquarters and has been for 2 days while I'm trying to figure out how to break it to Ashley that I have another one. A team of psychic specialists and magic users are attempting to scrub the conditioning from Raven Blade's mind to break the spell of utter obedience. As of this afternoon, the prognosis is not great. The imprint is deep. I had to go home and face Ashley. This means my home life has become a minefield. Ashley is beyond furious. Not necessarily with me. Small comfort. She isn't just upset about the rescue. She's pissed that this is now the 4th sexy woman that somehow, by one means or another, has been mind-controlled into being my obedient slave. I love Ashley. I would do anything for her. I've caused chaos on 2 different planets looking for her when she was possessed by that space god. Ashley knows Raven Blade. The 2 of them have been on countless missions together. I'm not sure if Ashley is pissed at me for having another slave or seeing a friend now more attached to me than she is. We'll work things out. We did it 3 other times. It's still not great. I'm starting to think being a PI for the heroes has only one part that isn't complicated. The paperwork.
The end. This was a work of fiction. Any similarity between people, living or dead, is purely coincidence. This scenario did not, or should not, have happened in real life. Thank you for listening.